Hello and welcome everybody to session 19 of the White March DLC of the First Pillars of Eternity game. We are currently in the Halls of Presence in the Abbey of the Fallen Moon. This is being recorded on November 24th, 2023. So we explored most of the Halls of Presence and the Halls of Silence below, where we learned of the Low Tide monks, and we probably could have been a little bit more stealthy coming in here. We could have posed as a Tidebringer, but we lost the opportunity to do that. And in this room, the Hall of the Tidal Wave, we saw Kaoto, but we did not confront him yet, who is the High Abbot, who has the information we need to open the doors to the Low Tide monks below. So we are going to start our session with talking to Kaoto today. So let's see how that goes. He might just attack us. Kaoto himself was green when we saw him, but everyone surrounding him was red, and red NPCs attack on sight. So let's see what happens here. Oh, let's come up here first.
I can do that. That's settled.
This looks like it goes somewhere. Scroll of Moonwell, selected correspondence of Giftbreaker Iden and the Moon's Vayar. We have read all those.
Now this I haven't seen before.
Let's have a dare do it. See what happens. That was too bad.
Laying low.
Journal of the High Abbot. And we got a quest update here, so there's something important in here. This volume appears to serve many functions. There are notes in it detailing schedules and routines at the Abbey. There are favorite passages from Ondra text, annotated with personal insights. There are also descriptions of dreams. Many seem purely symbolic, but one entry is of interest. It had been long since I dreamt of my rising, yet now, with another rising soon upon us, this is the 5th time in a week. Perhaps channeled here, I can put it to rest. I am walking through the halls of silence. I feel eyes on me from all sides, angry, vengeful eyes. I arrange the panels and curl my hands into the sign of the tide. And right is the wave, the left tracing the crescent moon with my 2 outer fingers. The way opens to me. I climb the steps to Ondra's witness, and Ondra's witness is installed there. The old aspergillum set to operate the valves. This is what the old High Abbot I forget his name, in the Low Tide monks was talking about this aspergillum, set to operate the valves. I use it like a lever, and the water rises. There are angry shouts, and when I cover my ears, they are louder still. But the water continues upward, far past where it should. I climb as high as I can, but I feel it, icy, on my feet. Then it is over my head, and I cannot breathe. Suddenly I am outside the Reliquary, looking at the Veil of Tears. The witness is in my hand, and the veil parts for it. I step through, to the one place in the Abbey I feel protected. Only when I pass inside, I come out in total darkness. I call for help. I'm shouting, screaming to help. There is no answer. I stop. I sit there in the dark, waiting for what seems like ages. Then I realize I don't know who I am. So that seems to be like a somewhat prophetic dream for him, because the Tidebringer's coming to take over as High Abbot. That means that he will go down below to the Halls of Silence, where he will start to lose his memory as a member of the Low Tide monks. That will only be after the current Low Tide monks are killed by drowning, however. So let's see what it says for the quest now. I found a record of a recurring dream of the High Abbot. It showed him performing a strange sign before 4 panels, then retrieving a rod-like relic from a nearby device and using it to pass through a doorway of water into a walled enclosure somewhere outside the Abbey. So So before those 4 panels, I wonder if the 4 panels are the ones that are outside or if they're the ones that we ran into in the Halls of Silence. We'll have to check that out. There's some kind of rod-like relic that we need to actually open that door, because we do have the panels in the proper order. We just need something else to actually open the door. Yeah, this really seems like it should go somewhere. Am I crazy, or does that look like staircase outside? I don't know. Okay, so we've got everything in the Halls of Presence, so time to go confront Kaoto.
You've made a grave mistake. I will correct it in Ondra's name.
Alright, so we don't get a chance to talk. So that was much easier than I thought it was going to be. Probably because I am over-leveled for this area, but also I am used to fighting these guys now, so I know who to go after first, what kind of defenses I need to put up, and how to attack them. So all of those things together made this a much easier fight than I thought it was going to be.
Slow and silent.
Okay, and we can look at the soul of the High Abbot here. Okay, the robes of the Tidebringer. The ceremonial guard of the Tidebringer, devout Ondrite elected by their conclave to take the mantle of the leadership at the Abbey of the Fallen Moon. And then we got another wave-crested key and a steel-banded key. Contrasting against the wide bands of steel that reinforces the iron core of this key has built rust through the years of use. The High Abbot's soul remains close to his body. It radiates a warmth only you can feel. Reach out. You project your essence outward, and when it makes contact, you feel yourself suddenly plummeting through the moments and sensations of another life. You see beneath you in a memory glowing brightly, and as you pass it, you latch on and pull yourself inside. You walk briskly through a hallway flanked by small gated rooms. It has the feel of a prison, but the architecture is consistent with the Abbey. Your heart races. You pause at an array of panels, too blurry to read. You rearrange them, and a hidden tile slides back into the wall. In that spot, you make a strange sign with your hands, and the way ahead opens for you. You ascend a flight of steps to take hold of a rod-shaped object attached to a mechanical device and push down on it. You hear the sound of water in the distance. You're falling through the memories again, but come to a sudden, sharp landing outside in an enclosure that overlooks the facade of the Abbey. Water flows over an archway like a waterfall without a source. You look in your hand, and the relic you took from the device is there. You extend it outward, and the water seems to be repelled by it, creating a space for you to enter. As you step through, the doorway leads out of the moment memory entirely. You withdraw in the same direction you came from, flying upward and out of the High Abbot's soul. So that seems to be projecting the way forward. maybe I just learned the same thing that I learned from the journal. Because it didn't seem to add anything to the quest. Also, it seems like this ritual that I need to do floods the lower levels, so I want to try and free them first. So I'm kind of not exactly sure where to go here. So let's head down to the Halls of Silence first. And see if we can open that door now. If not, then we'll head up to the Reliquary. I wonder if, what's his name? Over here, we'll have something to say about it. Varentis.
Hello?
Nope.
Use the door behind me.
It doesn't matter anymore, since everybody here is dead. Alright, let's see if anything different happens here. Perform the sign of the tide on the hidden carving. You curl your hand as Kaoto has done and position it over the carving of the wave. Then, using your other hand, you trace the arc of the crescent with your index and little fingers. A heavy rumble stirs the ground, and from all around you comes the sound of rushing water. So it looks like I am going to be able to walk over this here. Still touch this. Okay.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
Alright. I want to be careful here. So I don't want to flood this yet. Obviously not when we're in it, but I don't want to just flood out all of the low-tide monks as well. We have a soul here, huh? Oh. Alright, let's go see what this soul does before we explore any further. Hovering over a skeleton half trapped in ice, a faint trace of essence lingers in the cold air of the cavern. Reach out. You let your soul envelop the essence. Memories spread in a thin mist under you, dim and torn, their scattered fragments floating like motes of dust in the twilight. You're walking into an oblong chamber. The stones of its underground walls glisten, still wet from the floodwaters. A hand clasps on your shoulder. You hear her whisper, "Arthric, I don't want to look." The memory vanishes, and now all you see is a slab of stone. You're staring at it, just inches away from the wall. Your fingers trace circles on it, digging into the moss that clings on its weathered surface. You're not sure how long you've been touching it. Perhaps you've always been. A scream jolts you. It echoes thunder throughout the halls. Your ears hurt, a pain that digs deep, burrowing in your head like a twisted dagger. You run. Others run. You don't know them, but you can remember them. But somehow you take comfort in their presence. Yes, they will help with your pain. The noise, you'll kill it. The anger of the memory subsides, and now you're sitting on steps carved of rock. Dozens of skeletons lie below, beneath frozen water. Their jaws hang open, silent. Yet, what's that? A low rumble, gargling, growing, deafening. You snap your head to the side in anguish and see it, the water, rushing down the halls, pushing you in a torrent of white foam. You fall, your mouth opens to shout, but your screams are muffled as it fills with water. So this seems like it's a memory of one of the low tide monks when they were drowned.
Not a sound.
So I said it looked like maybe something was out here, and I was right. This is the cliffs of the Abbey. I think that's probably where I couldn't throw the grapple over to. So there is a way probably to enter here first.
You're not getting from
I don't know what these circles that these moon spiders create does, but they go down quick enough, so...
Nice and quiet.
Despite the icy sheen that covers these webs, their threads gently vibrate at the slightest disturbance. Let's go see if I'm right. And this is where the cliffs... Yep. So yeah, this right here, I couldn't throw my rope from here to here because the wind kept bashing it away and I didn't have high enough dexterity with anybody to actually throw it. Okay, so time to come up here.
I'll see what I can
By
find.
the way, this was surprising to me. I thought over here, this is the rising waterway, this door would open and it would lead to something that was out over here. But instead, we opened this pathway over the water. Is this the rod? Alright, let's see. This is the Chamber of Tears that we are in here. Embedded in this deep semicircular slab is what looks to be a vessel for the sprinkling of holy water. In this context, however, it looks more like a lever. There are images engraved in the wall behind it, one of a rising wave, one of an open gate. Point the object to the open gate. In the distance, you hear the mechanical snap of rusted locks and the groan of iron hinges. Let's see if this was the right choice. What? Stop them! Our brethren, do not harm them! So there are still some people down here. Echoing voices reach your ears. The words are unintelligible, but you can make out laughter, crying, and cheers. Soon after, shouts of alarm resonate in the distance. With a click, the machine releases its hold on the strange rod. You pack the vessel away.
They'll fit right in with the
So I
rest.
have
Crazy
Ondra's
deal,
witness. I have Ondra's witness in my possession. It may be what I need to access the Reliquary. So let's see if I can find this. The ritual of sprinkling holy water is one of the most important traditions in the Ondrite Church. For Ondra's followers, it signifies not only the sanctifying of the church, but the actual presence of the Lady of Lament herself. Lady of Lament is another name for Ondra. All Ondrite holy water comes from the ocean, and those who convey the water from sea to church on pilgrimage are held in great esteem among the Ondrite faithful. The aspergillum takes the traditional shape of the spherical vessel at the edge of a long handle with holes bored at the top to allow water to flow outward when the item is flicked. More uniquely, the shaft has been carved to look as though barnacles cling to it, and the vessel at the end has been made to resemble the moon Balaffa. Salt appears to have crusted it in long wisps that wind around the object. So wait, sprinkling holy water is one of the most important traditions in the Ondra Church. Esteem among the Ondra faithful. So this represents the tide, I guess, in the holy water. All right, so time to head over. Oh, can we actually go in here? No. So the low tide monks are free. Guess we'll have to wait and see if that was a good call or not. What's his name said that they would slowly recover their memories. Hopefully he was right about that. Before I go up there, I want to check with him again, actually. And he said that they would, because they gained their memories, they would be calmer and they wouldn't attack people on sight, and I hope he was right. Nope, he's not even here anymore. So time to head up to the Reliquary now. So now that says top of the Abbey. Let's come up here first. Alright, so we have this wall of water here, which is called the Vale of Tears. This goes back down to the Halls of Presence.
I'm on the trail.
Nope. I was gonna say, doesn't look like we can do anything, but I guess just holding it. But I guess just holding, it's having it in your possession makes that wall of water disappear. Also, I want to say here, this is kind of dark here. This rock formation, I believe we saw rock formations like that in the mines, I want to say. And it said there was unlike other things. So maybe we're going to learn what that actually was. Still taking things, even though I'm probably not going to do a big sell thing, and I have plenty money.
Incredible. A titan right out of the stories. Oh, let's look inside.
So he called it a titan. And the reliquary is through the titan's mouth. So we can see this whole skeleton now. We see his skull here, his rib cage here, an arm. In the Halls of Silence, I believe, maybe it was the Halls of Presence, we saw a hip bone, and we see some more ribs coming out over here, and then a leg, a hand, and an arm. Don't know where the other leg is. Judging by the distance to the nearby skull, a tremendous force severed this vertebrae from the rest of its giant body. I wonder what could have done that. The moon? The cracks of his jawbone suggest that a forceful blow separated it from its skull. Yeah, I'm going to guess the moon came down. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Let's see where this goes. Maybe it just goes right up here. Oh, okay, it goes down the tower. Was this... I don't know if this was available to us before. Somewhere to go over there. Let's come over here first. I'm going to guess this goes to the High Abbot's room. I don't think I really have to check that. But maybe I should. Well, let's do it. It's annoying for me watching the load screens, but I just edit those out, so hopefully it's much shorter for you. Yep. Goes to the Abbot's room, just like I thought. Last thing I want to do is see where these stairs go before I examine the mouth here. The path ahead leads to the outskirts of the Abbey. What would you like to do? Stay to continue exploring the area. So that's the only option I have. All right. The strange crystal formations of this rock, intact even after their collision against the thick bones of this giant skull, seem to radiate a warmth of their own. So is this pieces of the moon then? I'm going to guess that's pieces of the moon. All right. Lodged between rows of crystalline rock, a large fragment of metal protrudes as though it might be possible to pry it loose. I wonder if this crystal that we're examining right now is the top of that crystal that was hanging over that pool in the Halls of Presence. Pull out the metal fragment. At your touch, the splinter of metal begins to glow orange. Heat surges up your hands and arms and envelops you with such intensity you feel as though you're melting down. The heat spreads to the world around you, turns it orange and then yellow and then white. The ground, the sky, everything around you drips its molten globs and begins to take shape beneath you as if in an invisible mold. You and your shard are the last things to melt and fall, and your addition to the molten pool completes the shape of an immense hammer. The metal cools as quickly as it heated. The handle is gripped now by two great leathery hands, and the hammer is cocked back over a shoulder as broad and mottled as a hilltop. Is this Abaddon, maybe? The wielder whirls around and heaves the hammer, and you're flying upward for what seems like ages into the airless blackness above. As you spin, you catch glimpses of a large rock enough to be a moon. It is close, far too close to the world. The force of the impact shatters hammer and stone alike. The rock is redirected outward, but a section of the front face is cleaved off and begins to fall, splintering apart at the cracks, and 100,000 fragments blossoming outward in all directions. Debris showers the atmosphere, trailing smoke and fire. Below, land and sea are far off, but gradually rising up. So, is this like a vision of Abaddon throwing a hammer at a moon that was colliding with the world? And shattering the moon, which apparently then kind of shattered in a large piece, still struck him in the head and killed him. I will have to go and look at all like the history of Abaddon and Ondra and all that again to see if we can make sense of that, although maybe this vision will make sense of that. Look to the sea. The largest of the fragments, wide as a city, barrels downward in a fiery cocoon. Its size reduces as the edges immolate, but it won't burn up in time. It lands silently in the distant ocean, sending a column of water skyward in radiating ripples that spread like wrinkles in fabric. Then the sound comes tearing up through the sky. It sounds like thunder. Look to the land. Features are becoming clearer by the moment as you streak toward the earth. You're falling lodged in an enormous boulder, falling among other smaller fragments that heat and burst around you on all sides. Beneath you, snow-capped mountains rise up, dotted here and there by cities of stone and Ondra. The impact will be the destruction of all of them. The shadow of your rock fragments is visible now, getting larger by the second. You are moments away from striking the ground when a massive shape throws itself into your path. The last thing you hear sounds like another rumbling impact, but it isn't what it is. It's a chuckle, relieved, breathless. You hear 2 words, "Made it." Everything goes dark. You open your eyes, the metal hammer fragment has come free, and you now hold it in your hands. It is warm to the touch. So embedded in this crystal was a piece of that hammer that was thrown at the moon. The air around you is suddenly turbulent, spiteful. A cold, damp wind whips your face. Salt crystals collect in your nostrils and the creases of your eyes. The floor below you becomes a blue-gray, glassy, churning and roiling, and when you fall, you crash through water. Violent waves hurl and spin you. Something slithers around your ankles, seizes you with incredible strength, drags you into the silty depths. When the pulling stops, you are hovering at the center of an endless blue abyss. You can see neither surface nor floor. You seem to be facing downward, but there is no way to be sure. A voice sounds from everywhere at once, and the immense pressure wave of each utterance sends you reeling.
Deceitful wretch! Grave robber! You who dig for that which you did not bury. Speak! Explain yourself and be judged.
So this is Ondra speaking to us. I seek a means of defeating an army that threatens my lands.
You seek what is mine, what was rightfully lost.
The outburst propels you, sending you end over end.
Your actions speak for themselves. The battery opened, the forge ignited. You set free souls that hid from me, that stole from me and evaded my judgment.
She must be talking about the low-tide monks there.
The dwarves sealed their own fate. The forge was meant to be forgotten.
I wonder how the dwarves sealed their own fate when the eyeless are the ones that attack them, and I believe the eyeless belong to Ondra.
And now, here you are again, denying peace to the buried.
The turbulence around you calms. Silt settles like a slow exhalation, and the vast dark seascape beyond the murk fades in. Rays of light trickle down from far above onto green-gold columns of kelp that rise from the depths and sway back and forth in the current. Fish and mollusks patrol in groups of hundreds and thousands. The nearest pass you with watchful eyes. So yeah, one of the questions, what are the bones of one god doing sealed in the temple of another? So it seems like those bones were actually Abaddon's bones. There we go. I want this question here. The army that destroyed the dwarves, the eyeless, are they yours?
What the world casts aside, I take into my care. A thing may be forgotten, but it is never alone as long as I am here. They were lost children, abandoned, fixed on a purpose that no longer had meaning. I took them in, gave them new purpose. I did not create them, but yes, they are mine.
What new purpose did you give them?
Some things that are forgotten must never be remembered. Not merely for the benefit of those who forgot, but for the entire world. There can be no second thoughts, no sympathy or stays of execution. The eyeless were born to fulfill this task, though even their creator did not know it. They are single-minded and relentless.
I had something else to discuss about the eyeless. The eyeless were born to fulfill this task. So, the eyeless are there to destroy things that she wants to be forgotten. Which makes sense, because the eyeless are just like, they're just wreaking havoc, but they don't actually know, they can't see what they're doing, so the memory of what they destroy dies with them as well. So I want to discuss something else about the eyeless.
Speak your mind.
They're Abaddon's. I saw them forged.
They were his once. I won't deny it. He created them as assistants to carry out his work on Aora.
So that's what the eyeless were, but she appropriated them.
But he has long been the overseer of progress in the world. Leaving things behind has always been his way. I allow him to leave his past in my care, so that it does not hold him back.
You and Abaddon have a unique connection, then.
I suppose we do. But then, the gods have always been able to accomplish far greater things when working together.
Nearby you see a shark pass through a school of fish. The fish scatter, evading the predator. Alright, I want to take a look at this again. She says that the eyeless were his once, because they were assistants to carry out his work, but leaving things behind has always been his way. In other words, like he kind of forgot about the eyeless. I allow him to leave his past in my care so that it does not hold him back. In other words, she took the eyeless because Abaddon needed to get rid of them somehow.
You may ask.
What do you mean the forge is meant to be forgotten?
It was never meant for mortal use. Such power, such truths lie within it. It can bring only ruin.
So the dwarves didn't make it?
When the Pargrunin came to the White March, they were peaceful. They shared common beliefs and purpose. Their visions for the Forge tore them apart. You have seen this for yourself.
So she had the forge destroyed because the it was tearing the Pargrunin dwarves apart. Delete what I just said. So she had the dwarves destroyed in the forge buried because of what it did to the Pargrunin dwarves. Did the dwarves build it, or was it there and they just decided to use it?
They would have destroyed themselves in the end.
How convenient that we'll never know.
You need only look to the history of your own civilization for assurance. How many wars, how many fallen empires might have been averted if only their leaders could forget the objects of their ambition.
It's definitely true as far as the Adir Empire and the Deerwood goes.
I mourned the loss of the Pargrunin. Misfortune brought them here. They did not deserve to end so soon.
What does it matter if something is remembered or forgotten? It's in the past in either case.
Memories are the spirits of the past. You of all people should know their sway on the present, Watcher.
Perhaps more than I'd care to admit.
Mortals measure the worth of their lives in memory. Who will remember me? How long until I am forgotten? Memory governs every thought, informs every choice. It can fuel passion, understanding, love. Or it can create obsession, madness.
So that's why she wants memories gone, or why she thinks it's a good idea for memories to be gone, because they can color the choices and decisions that you make in the present day. Whereas if you forget them, then it's a new decision without the weight of the memory that comes with it.
You have seen it plague many souls in your travels. Consider the old Watcher who inherited unspeakable crimes from birth. Or the young woman who committed herself to Brackenbury for love of things she remembered she had. Or the fisherman whose life became a sentence the day he killed his sister. Or the Glonfathen boy for whom an old medallion was worth more than all the fruits of his labors. They could be free from their burdens, if only they could forget.
Their problems go deeper than memory. Simply forgetting does not make them go away.
For some, perhaps. But for many, the memory is all that remains of it. Even when problems have run their course, memory can be the stone that sinks you into the abyss.
Be that as it may, I must reject your moral paradigm because it engenders an incomplete conception of the good that fails to consider the importance of testing the soul. engenders an incomplete conception of the good that fails to consider the importance of testing the soul. So in other words, if they don't have memory, then and they're making the choices new every single time, then they're not actually testing the soul.
Indeed. And what has led you to conclude you know better than a god, mortal?
Your supposition that peace of mind is tantamount to the overall good is a flawed premise. Empirically, we know that struggle and inner turmoil strengthen the soul as often as they strangle it.
That hardly sounds like an improvement on inner peace. Is that the extent of your argument?
I'm going to keep going with this intellect here. No, actually. I submit to you that life is a framework to test the soul, and that an untested soul withers from disuse. Consequently, it is better to test the soul in order that it should thrive. If it breaks, it is no worse off than if it were not tested at all.
There may be hope for you yet, Watcher.
Uh-oh, Durant's like that. I gotta maybe break down to actually see what I'm saying here. So in other words, the soul's not getting tested if they constantly just like forget everything that happens, or is it talking about how people should remember their past lives, their past souls?
Your reasoning is interesting, mortal. Perhaps there is something to it. But it is not my will to simply do good. Those broken souls that fail your test, those are the ones I love most. For no other god will have them. What small mercies they ask of me, I will always grant. Was there something else, mortal?
What are the bones of one god doing sealed in the temple of another?
Do not play coy with a god, Watcher. I know you have seen his death. I feel it whenever a forgotten thing is taken from me. Abbey did not deserve to die here. This place, it was the least I could do to give his remains some privacy.
So it was like an act of mercy that she built the Abbey of the Fallen Moon around his body. The least you could do.
The least I could do for ending his life.
So she called the moon down. Light drains from your surroundings. The kelp forest becomes a corpse of black tendrils, stark and twisted as regret.
I called the moon down to me. Ioni brother. It was against his wishes. He would not listen to reason. Would not listen to me.
So is that a third moon?
In his madness, he splintered the moon. But it was not enough. The greatest of the fragments still fell toward that which he would protect. In the end, he took position where it would fall, and absorbed the impact himself.
I thought Balafa and Kaoto were the moons.
Ioni brother is their smaller sibling, tiny next to them.
Small enough that the world would survive its impact. But why the temple? Why the secrecy?
That time has been forgotten now, and so his death belongs to me. Everything he was before the impact.
But you slew another god. Surely the other gods know this. Surely Abaddon must know. Current surges through the kelp bed, pushing each plant sideways like saplings in a hurricane and propelling you backward amidst torrents of wayward fish.
No! He cannot know! He must never know!
So Abaddon died and didn't know that she was responsible for the moon coming to the earth.
Understand, he was not always as he is now. His body was not all he left behind. He was devoted to progress and industry from the beginning. But so too was he devoted to preservation. In those times, he would let nothing go. Nothing could be forgotten. His will was iron long before his body.
So I posited before we found a book of Abaddon's sayings in the Abbey of the Fallen Moon that seemed to be from an older version of Abaddon, because now we have the daily affirmations of focus and deficiency, which focus not just on forging metal, but forging your own self as well. And It seems like after Abaddon's death, because he was reborn, after his death is when he started actually talking about the soul as well, whereas before it was just about progress in industry. It was not about the soul itself. What was it he was trying to preserve?
Time has finished much of what I started. I cannot tell you that, mortal, for fear of undoing all its costly work.
Preservation. So that was why he went so far to oppose you.
We agreed long ago, all of us, not to alter the course of Kith's civilization. Not directly. Not unless there were no other choice. But in this matter, there was no other choice. He understood that as well as anyone. It was for duty that he opposed it. I would have stopped it if I could, but by then it was too late.
You make it sound as though you were the sane one.
The other gods knew what had to be done, but they lacked the will to go through with it. Even gods have their attachments.
In other words, she thought she had to, what was the term she used? Alter the course of Kith's civilization. And that's why she brought the moon down.
To erase all knowledge of such a grand thing required unthinkable devastation. The Eastern Reach, Deadfire. Mine was the only solution. When I called down Ione Brother, they remained silent. Even Abaddon. He knew it was for the best. But he tried to stop it all the same. Perhaps deep down I knew he would. I should have expected it. I could have stopped it.
So at some point in the past, Ondra thought that it was necessary to destroy part of the Eastern Reach, the Deadfire, by bringing a moon down. And the other gods didn't actually try to stop her from doing that. But Abaddon, when the moon started coming down, I don't know if it was his plan or if he... I'm sorry if you can hear my chair. If it was his plan to stop the moon, or if he decided when he saw it coming that he wanted to stop it from falling. That's when he threw his hammer at it. It shattered, but a large piece still hurtled toward Aora, and he took the brunt of that hit and died. Eventually he was reborn, but that is something that Ondra feels guilty about, and she doesn't know if she should have stopped it. She's not really sure how to feel about it.
You may ask.
You say on one hand you called down Ione Brother, yet on the other that you would have stopped it for Abaddon.
The death of a god is a calamity. You are living in the aftermath of one such death. Surely you can understand.
Speaking of Aethys' death here, you have said that sympathy can't get in the way. What about yours for Abaddon?
He deserved better. Of all the other gods, he was the only one who acted, who held to his convictions.
The goddess of relentlessness must have appreciated such a quality.
Yes. I admired him for that.
But it's more than that. You loved him. The pull and push of the current become long and heavy like a sigh.
Whatever he was to me, it was not meant to last. Always our duty is to Aora first. I knew he opposed what I intended, that he would wish to preserve what I meant to destroy. I knew it would cause a rift that might never be mended. But I never imagined he'd go so far. I never imagined it would mean I would never know him, as I once did.
If he doesn't remember dying, why not begin again with him?
Because it might cause him to remember. No, mortal. Better that we should exist as we are now. What happened once must never happen again. Bad enough that I am cursed to remember it.
I want to ask you about something else.
You may ask.
Why did you pull down Ione Brother?
The great conundrum of a god is how close to become with your subjects. Too far and they lose hope. Too close and your own judgment fails. Civilizations are meant to ebb and flow. Allow them to persist for too long in power or knowledge, and you invite catastrophe.
Probably talking about in the Ingwithans here, who became too powerful when they created the gods, which is why the gods had to kill them.
There was a time when we let our sympathies get the better of us. When memories were allowed to persist that should have been washed away. The other gods could not be moved to act. I did what had to be done without them.
You're talking about the Ingwithans, like I said.
I speak of what is forgotten. I failed that day, but my purpose was achieved in the end. I will not dredge up the memory to satisfy idle curiosity.
I need you to call off the eyeless.
On the contrary, mortal, their work must continue. Far too much was uncovered while they lay dormant.
They draw attention to the very things you wish hidden. In my dreams, I have seen them swarming over the Deerwood.
Those who know too much of the White Forge will be washed clean from Eora, and then the eyeless shall rest once more.
So that's what the eyeless are for, basically, for her, just destroying the White Forge and anybody who knows anything about it. Because she thinks that having knowledge of the secrets that the White Forge grants will cause all people to become greedy and start warring amongst themselves. This isn't some lone tribe of dwarves. The Forge sees visitors from all over now. The eyeless will tear the Deerwood apart. It will never be forgotten. The sea life around you stirs back and forth, agitated, restless.
Even if it is as you say, there is nothing that can be done. The eyeless do not think for themselves. They have only the purpose that is given to them. They do not stop until the purpose is fulfilled.
So the eyeless is the second thing that Ondra has done that she says can't be reversed.
They will not change course now for me or anyone. I am sorry.
Kaoto said they could be called off.
Only if those they pursue are no longer a threat. The Raid Sarens were stopped before they could take the White Forge. In your case, Watcher, you are well beyond that now. And if what you say is true, then the Deerwood is as well.
This was your doing. You must intervene.
The interventions of gods seldom work out in anyone's favor. Our touch is too heavy. The world crumbles beneath it.
So it's... to intervene this time, it doesn't work out in anyone's favor, although she definitely has intervened before.
It is why we so often enlist the help of mortals. They execute our wishes with greater care. I have done far too much already.
If you won't stop them, then I will.
Your determination is commendable. But the eyeless number in the thousands. You will need more than strength or luck.
The help of a god would be most welcome.
I will give you what aid I can. I bade the eyeless to remain hidden when at rest. They are gathered in the hollow of a great rock, splintered from Ione Brother. It lies in a flooded crater known as Kairin's Scar. Know, too, that they were built to answer the call of their master's hammer. When they hear it strike, they come to its aid. If you were to take that piece of his hammer from here and reshape it in Abaddon's forge into a likeness of the original, you might be able to call them to you. But destroying them would be another matter. I know of one way, but only from the center of the Lion's Den. Only with their master's hammer in your service. If you can do all this, if you can reshape what remains of Abaddon's hammer and bring it inside their lair, I can instruct you there on what you would need to do.
It'd be easier if you told me now.
Nothing I say will make sense until you see it for yourself, mortal. We share a common purpose now. I will see you through it when the time comes.
So she is going to help us to destroy the eyeless, but she can't actually call them off. I will remake the hammer in the White Forge and stop the eyeless.
If you do not, be assured, they will come for you as they did for the Pargrunen.
An uneasy turbulence disturbs the calm like an unwelcome thought.
Careful as you approach the lake. When I claimed the Eyeless, I made sure they would not be discovered while they slept. Many of my most devoted followers stand watch there. They will not allow you near. And there is something far worse. Something more fearsome and dangerous than any Eyeless. Let us hope you do not attract its attention.
What is it? In place of an answer, a sudden surge in the current from beneath sends you hurtling upward. The surface above you approaches fast, shifting and glimmering like quicksilver. You emerge soaking wet in the stone floor of the Reliquary, gasping for breath as if you'd been holding it for hours. Okay, so we have a new goal. We need to recreate Abaddon's hammer with the piece of it that we found in the mouth here, and we need to call the Eyeless to us in an effort to destroy the Eyeless before they destroy the White Forge and most of the Deerwood. We got a new major adventure. Nothing special there, it's just a major adventure. Okay, and that will do it for this session. Very interesting today. We learned about the past when Ondra called down the smallest of 3 moons to maybe not destroy Aora, but to destroy a lot of Aora in an effort to kind of reshape it, to forget what happened and to reshape it, which is what Ondra likes to do. Abaddon tried to stop it, but was killed because of it. He was eventually reborn, which I think we're going to find out more about that. So, hope you found that as interesting as I did. Thank you for joining me in this session. We will be back for session 20, and I hope you join me. Thank you so much, and I will see you then. Bye, everybody.